Sometimes, people came close to their day of reckoning. According to Reddit, in the interest of clarity, an African proverb says, "The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel the warmth." What time did you come closest to starting the fire? Number 20. Whenever I'm in a meeting and my suggestions are getting consistently ignored, and I'm just getting interrupted or spoken over, I get the weirdest urge to prove that I still exist by jumping on the table and busting out Queen of the Night. Well, there you go. Hello to Ariana and Sierra Mist in the stream. It's funny that you say Papa John because he was a close second for the thumbnail choice for this list. But I guess I went edgier, if that thumbnail choice can be considered edgy. What do you do? Number 19. When I was in the 7th grade, my parents got divorced. My anger and sadness continued to grow. One Thursday night, my father picked up my siblings for the obligatory meal out. I declined to go. I went into my room and started screwing around with my chemistry set. Picture this setting: a farmhouse built in 1830, burlap walls in my bedroom, hundreds and hundreds of comic books, and wall-to-wall carpeting. Your standard tinderbox. Instead of using the Bunsen burner for my heat source, get this, I used an empty plastic margarine container. And instead of practicing any other safety protocol, I set the fuel on the carpet and lit it. Surprise! The plastic melted almost immediately, and the fuel soaked the carpet. Before I knew what happened, flames were licking the walls and the furniture. At this point, I had the good sense to yell "fire" to my mother, who was blissfully unaware in the kitchen. She dialed 911, while the child genius ran in and out of the inferno, trying to save as many Marvel and DCs as I could. Thankfully, the emergency services got there quickly and were able to contain the damage to my bedroom. It was completely blackened. For years, I thought the whole thing was a terrible accident. Only as an older adult can I admit to one simple fact. My pain and need to be seen manifested in the torching of my own room.
You did it for the attention. What has become of you, child? You did what?
I guess these things happen. I don't see a lot of green names, so Broccoli Broom, Icky Gabby, interesting stuff. As we continue upward, we arrive at number 18. The theater department at my college, despite building their entire persona on empathy, was the judgiest, clickiest, least empathetic group of people that I'd ever known. If you weren't part of the in crowd, you weren't given the same support. There were many of us that were existing on the outskirts, working so hard just to see the same few people get all of the opportunities, even as far as being cast in the lead roles. Bastards. They'd get cast in these lead roles even after they graduated. As I struggled with depression, anxiety, and undiagnosed ADHD, I worked tirelessly to keep up with my peers, only to be told that I needed to apply myself more. I saw people put in half the work as some of us did and get higher grades. To be honest though, guys, as rude as this is to say, I feel like one of the biggest lessons that you can learn going into the real world is that it's less about how capable or talented or what you're going to invest, and more about who you know, homie. More about who you know. There are people who are friends with, district attorneys and judges and people in law enforcement right now. There are people who are friends with mayors, and they're simply not only going to be in positions where perhaps they can make more and live a better quality of life, but, when shit hits the fan, they will be taken care of in a capacity that you couldn't dream of, because it's all about who you know. One professor actually gave arbitrary grades, so the 4+ hours of homework he assigned based on page count and who he thought deserved the higher grade I don't know if you can hear me. But Chrome just shit the bed for a complete couple of seconds. I tried so hard to get no support in return that I became incredibly suicidal and had to take a semester off to deal with my mental health. It only took 2 more years and another medical break before I finally was able to graduate. Well, if it ain't screwing kids up, then is it really called school? Can it really be school if you guys aren't having meltdowns? Oh boy, whatever you want to call it though, man. Broccoli Room says, nowadays, the person would just make a meltdown video on Instagram for attention. It's true. It's true. Some people are so desperate for attention that they're just gonna, flail until they get it. Somebody will pay attention to them. It's true. Especially if you got boobies. Oh my God. You see these boobies? How you gonna pretend not to pay attention to these? Number 17. Already am. Therapy is a magical thing where you learn to burn down anything that is bad for you. Then you take it out, then you take it to your family. Pretty similar, to be honest. My family seems to be somewhat accepting of me burning down the stupidity that is hurting us all and leaving the nice things, though. Well, this is a little wholesome, that's something that we can agree that you should want to burn down. What are you keeping around all this negativity for? Pretty silly stuff, boy. Number 16. I moved to a new town and started going to a new church when my dad got cancer. Went to church and the pastor to try to get some advice. The pastor announced this to the convocation. I've never heard convocation. I'm used to a congregation. Also told everyone that some lady's horse was sick. Oh, right in there with your dad's cancer. It's the same. I watched the entire convocation console this lady about her sick horse. The convocation was in tears about some sick horse while my dad was dying. Well, if it doesn't give you an eye-opener to the world in which you live, then I don't know what will. I don't know what's weirder. People... I think, well, I can't say that because I do know what's weirder. It's not weird that people are going to act fucking crazy. What is weird is for you to expect anything otherwise. People are crazy, and the best that you're going to get out of life is to honestly be avoided by some of these crazy people. You need to treat these scenarios in which you are forced to exist and share space with these crazy people as a countdown to when you can get away, because some of them are incapable of seeing anything any way other than the way that they've known for their entire life. And you'd be better off, I don't know, man, trying to learn how to breathe underwater than to teach an old dog some new tricks. These people are crazy, and they also are closer to this lady with the horse than they are to you and your dad, so it doesn't matter how irrational it is. They're going to console this woman. And if it's a church, maybe that woman had deeper pockets than you did. I mean, let's face it, your dad's facing some cancer, Bing Bong. You're probably going to want to be dedicating all of your funds to treating him, not giving it to the church, which is what they're going to want. So as I welcome you to the Church of Kyle, you already know where the donation link is. The collection plate. Icky Gabby says, hi, Kyle. And possibly Linda. Linda's probably asleep because she's not feeling well. Send her your thoughts and prayers. You thoughts. Number 15. Nice. When I was like 15, wow, that's like the entry that we're on. I got in a fight with my friend over something stupid. I went home and I was shaking with rage. Full-on puberty meltdown anger. Oh snap. I was stomping up and down the hallway, breathing through my teeth real hard. At one point, I went into the kitchen and got a knife, and I started talking to God like, forgive me for what I am going to do. I am now embarrassed when I think about that. Well, at least it stopped before it escalated, you know? Could have gotten worse, but it didn't. And that's good. That's good. Number 14. I grew up with an incredibly privileged but emotionally abusive family. I never really fit in. They would frequently gaslight me with so much, but one that made me feel like I was going crazy was that they all hated each other but would act like I was the only one to fight with anyone else and band together in that. That's pretty loaded shit, man. I've moved out now, but there are many nights when I felt like I was going to go crazy and that I could just burn that house down and not look back. Glad I didn't, though. There's always a better way out. Some people will not be able to exercise that kind of restraint when everybody is using them as the punching bag. If you are your family's outlet, if you are your family's lightning rod and are just taking any and all of that, it's abuse, dude. That's the name of it. Because they can get by, I want to say, letting out a little bit of steam in your direction so they don't explode. Boy, that's not what you're there for, you know? And as cruel as it is to say, I expect parents more to treat their children like slaves or to consider their children as less than people than to genuinely use them as a punching bag. Like, you gotta have a lot of screws loose to feel like you can just physically or emotionally abuse somebody else. Like, what's wrong with you? Find a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a wife or a husband like the rest of us and share that load together. Your kids don't exist for you to just, like, convince yourself that you're not a terrible person. You are, you know? And they're dying to be rid of you. But, you know, we love you too. We just can't love what you do. It's madness. So critical. As we continue up, man. Number 13. That's really messed up. My heart goes out to anybody dealing with that shit. That's fucked up. I like the username of this guy in here. You teach that keyboard a lesson. Yeah. Number 13. I actually have a story for this one. So I was a senior that was friends with 4 juniors in a friends group. I wasn't exactly part of their group, but they seemed to enjoy my company. I was both the funny friend and the therapist friend. I helped them through their prom fiasco when they were at odds with one another. I made them food on occasion, and at my graduation they all said that we should get a group together and do something fun and bond before I left for college. One of them even said that she would plan a party for all of us. A month passes by, I invite them all to see a movie. One by one they flake during the week before the movie. I end up going to see it alone. Another month passes by and they've maintained radio silence. Over the next few months I try to invite them to various events, and without fail none of them end up available. And I ask them about doing something together, no dice. All the while I watch their Instagram posts going to a lake and having a lake party. Bitch, get over it. People drift apart, my God. And worse, a lot of people are only convenience friends or associates. You know what I mean? Many people will get along with people all right, meaning, hey, you're not as bad as the rest of these other assholes that I ended up randomly, sorted into a classroom with because of where we are situated geographically. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're not as bad as these other people, but odds are I'm going to end up somewhere where I can pursue something based exclusively on my interests. I'm into weightlifting. I'm going to end up in this club for weightlifting. I'm going to find people at a gym. I'm into anime weeb shit. I'm going to end up on a forum or at a convention and find people that are exclusively into that. But you were probably just less awful than all the other people that were around. So I know that you have a connection, but theirs wasn't as strong. Sometimes you gotta let it go, guys. Oh boy. I feel like all of us listening to this have been through it already, but get over it. Here I am typing this on Reddit before going to bed and waking up tomorrow to go out of state for college. Bitch. Tell us how we know that you're a female. And I don't mean bitch in a derogatory sense. It's just like, yeah, acting like a bitch with all of this. Why won't my friends hang out with me? They're all flaking out on me. Get new friends. And you will. And you'll forget all this in a month's time. In a month's time, all of this nonsense will be something you wish was replacing the crap that you're worried about then. Remember these times. Remember the nothing that you were worried over. Enjoy your solitude while it lasts. I know that's crazy. But you won't know what you have until it's gone. Number 12. Did I say 12? That sounds really cool. Number 12. The time that I was working at a psychiatric hospital and the CEO assumed that I smoked drugs because I had dreadlocks. I love you. Smoked drugs. Holy crap.
Happy New Year. Thanks for all the good times.
Damn.
Colon.
Damn, Broccoli. Thank you for being amazing, colon. Sorry, my colon just like shifted inside me and it sent some stuff loose. It's kind of crazy. Well, Broccoli, I really do appreciate you. You're a hero and I love you. Damn, I didn't know H.H. William was a stream boss. You need to pick the GIF that will be what I throw onto the stream. Broccoli, I love you. That's above and beyond. You really didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that you did. And I wish you a fantastic new year as well. I'll be here as long as you're interested. Doesn't matter if it's just one of you, man. I will be here to offer that. I like to call it a distraction from anything that you may or may not want to be invested in, you know, or even as a means to kind of make time pass. Why not? Go to sleep to it, advance time with it, get away from everybody and the bullshit with it. Now you know what's up. This thing goes on by saying, hey man, he assumed that I smoked drugs because I had dreadlocks. I worked very hard for those patients and they trusted me. I shielded the hospital from nearly weekly riots of patients. After being unfairly judged and made to look dispendable. Why did I say that word? You know why? Because I wanted to read expendable. But it says dispensable there. So your brain took it in two directions. Man, you feeling weird. You may want to drink something real quick. Oh yeah, it's time for that Zephyr Hills Florida water. What a nerd. Boy, I can't stand the taste of water. The only time it tastes good to me is if I actually get my ass on the treadmill. And then I'm like really thirsty for it. But when I do start drinking water, sometimes my brain just goes, boy, you better drink some more. You don't want kidney stones, do you? And then just the thought of actually having to pass a stone through my pee hole just makes me down most of that bottle. Valena Jones says, you okay, Kyle? Girl, as long as I'm here streaming, I'm fine. Ask that question when I'm not around, you know? Because I like to say, there isn't a problem that money can't fix. Stop it. I almost set the inmates loose in the asylum. Bro, I didn't realize, you must have said it before, psychiatric hospital, but for some reason I was just thinking normal hospital. That's one way to burn it all down, man. I almost set the inmates loose in the asylum, but then I realized that it was selfish and that those people cared so much about, the people that I cared so much about, would be punished for fighting my fight for me, and basically would be the firewood for my fire. What an extremely mature conclusion to come to. It sucks that we don't get any praise for the things that we don't do, you know? Because sometimes we come so close. But it would be irrational to expect praise for the things that we restrain ourselves from doing. Number 11 is another self-referential comment about the list itself. I saw that while, you know, drifting down the list. It was a really short entry. I was confused. I scan lists sometimes. And they're all terrible. How terrible, you may ask? Let's go to askreddit right now. Sometimes you don't see me for a day, and it's not because I'm lazy. It's not because I don't want to give you a list. It's because many of the entries or questions, submissions, if you will, to askreddit are absolutely ridiculous. And yes, they're all in good fun, and I understand fun, and it must be nice, right? My fun exists in video games. And I understand most people can't, get down on the video games the way that I can. So to each our own. I'll let you enjoy your world and you let me enjoy mine. But here's a dumbass question, and it says, starting from January 12th, 2020, doors will become illegal. Why'd you say that so weird? Sorry. Starting from January 12th, 2020, doors will become illegal. That means all existing doors will be removed, regardless of their purpose. What do we do now? The first thing that I thought when I saw this question, of course, is, bitch, windows become the new doors. The end. The end, my dude. Windows become the new doors. Maybe they have like a retractable type of ladder scenario so that we can situate them high. And then, when we come in, we press a button and the ladder comes down or some shit like this. Who knows? So I come into the comment section because sometimes when you're on Reddit and you're browsing and you see something, you want your thought to be, not validated, but you just want to see somebody else have your thought in the comment section below. So that's my thought. As it pertains to, doors are going to be removed all over now. They're illegal. So what are we going to do? And my thought is, windows become the new doors. Here are the comments, okay? Monsters Inc. isn't going to take the news well, ha ha ha, reference to that movie. Nothing wrong with that, Use gates instead. Okay, it's not going to do much for the cold. Number 3, find whatever loopholes exist in this new rule that allow the use of something other than doors as doors. Why not windows? This is ridiculous. Apparently the Google definition of a door says a hinged, sliding, or revolving barrier at the entrance to a building, room, or vehicle, or in a framework of a cupboard. So by that definition, some people take that technicality to imply that a window is in fact a door, but only if it's situated at a building's entrance. What is an entrance but a way to enter a room? Aren't all ways into a room an entrance? You know what I mean? Is this meaning to imply that there can be no windows? It's just so stupid. This is the stupid shit on Reddit. We can use really thick curtains. Submarines and spaceships are going to have a bad time. Ha 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 ha. Put a huge block of something at the doorway. Yeah, and roll it away like Jesus after the third day. I hope you have been equally frustrated by the low caliber posts on Reddit this day. Helsing says, what about instead of a door, you have a cool bead curtain instead? Well, if we were to think about it, not only is that a bad scenario as it pertains to security, because if you have a home, you want there to be a separation from someone just being able to walk right in. You know what I mean? So beads ain't gonna do that, So you want that. If we can't have doors, as far as I'm concerned, cement that motherfucker over, okay? What we'll do thereafter is, I don't know, we could even make it so that like chimneys are the new way into the house, and then we have a ladder out of the chimney or some shit like that. Who knows? Outfit that into a slide when you're coming in and something that you can climb up and out of when you're leaving. And instead of a door, it'll just be like a... God, dude. It's not something that we need to think about, is my point. That's just what is on Reddit right now. This is from almost a day ago, and it's, something that's worth reading. Number 10, working in public accounting as an auditor, 65-plus-hour weeks, getting yelled at by clients for things that aren't your fault, getting chewed out by your manager for being over or under budgeted hours for a client, staying in hotels 5 days a week, and during busy season eating poorly because you never had time to cook. Let's just say one of the best days of my life was when I got laid off from that place, which opened the door to great opportunity with none of the issues listed above. Huh. Must be nice. I was working on that Lucas video, man. It is taking so much out of me. It is taking so much out of me. There's so much of this old man delusional garbage to sift through, man. And I read all my comments, and I got one of my first, "Oh, you're coming off kind of biased" comments, and it's like, yeah, I was never trying not to. This guy, as far as I'm concerned, is kind of gross and a threat, and he's gonna go back to college with an exclusive intention of just trying to pick up younger women. He can't even mention college without immediately going into the girls that he's going to be talking to. And it's like, I want people out there to know of this dude so that they don't get tricked. Because there are some wholesome girls out there, man. There's some really sweet, nice girls that maybe you walk up to them and say something weird about, some board games, and she could be the type of wholesome girl that's into that kind of crap too. And as rude as that is to say, she wouldn't be like other girls. Most girls, let's face it, would probably be playing a video game because that's what I'd be playing. Like, what the fuck are you doing with a board game, homie? Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just an exception. It's like, it's out of the ordinary. Most board games are a little, kind of difficult to get into. So when this dude's gonna roll up, it's gonna be creepy. Number 9, the church group of churches / pseudo cults that I grew up in were very much this way. Didn't go to the right school? Shun. Didn't send your kids to the Bible summer camp? Shun. Your kid's spouse family member sinned in a public way? Shun. Not married 20-something? With 3 kids, actively a leader? Shun. I get it. That was one thing too many. Thanks. That was one thing too many. We get it, cults are cults. It took me 20 years to see through the bullshit, and another 7 to finally be truly and finally free. I'd burn all that crap down to the ground for the hell that they put every person through. Ironic, isn't it? Ironic that some of the most hellish experiences are religious ones. Oh boy, you cults. Number 8, my family doesn't know that they hit it big in my industry. Ooh, not they. The dude writing this entry. Give me a second. The guy says, my family doesn't know that I've hit it big in my industry. The industry, they said that you'd need to be superhuman as far as talent is concerned, or have a lot of luck to make it in. I'm getting my finances and logistics in order, and next week, I'm moving out unexpectedly. The guys I've hired to move that few possessions that I am taking with me arrive sometime in the morning, and my flight leaves in the afternoon. I'll leave a letter explaining that I haven't harmed myself, but they are not likely to see me for a long time. I've got my own phone, I'm on my own plan, a plane ticket, and a place lined up on the other side of the country. My family won't take it well, since they thrive on control and conflict, and I expect the whole family to implode from finger pointing and drama whoring once I'm gone. Well, that's the typical kind of family that I'm used to hearing about. There you go. Number 7. Bing my bong. When I had been bullied constantly in 7th grade, there were 3 different kids or groups of kids, and the school showed so little interest in helping me out. I was physically bullied, verbally mocked, humiliated in front of other kids, and not an eye was batted. When I finally took my man's When I finally took my mom's advice to make a scene the next time something started to occur, I did it. We were outside that day for PE, and while we were all sitting in lines at the start of a class, a kid in the line next to me started throwing pebbles at me. I ignored it. Strange. I ignored it for a moment, then when he kept going, I yelled at him to stop. I didn't care that people were staring. I wanted them to. I wanted them to see that this average height, able-bodied boy was throwing things at me, a very small and disabled girl. The teacher came over, asked what happened. Kid told him that they were only pebbles. He wasn't hurting me. The teacher agreed with him and told me if I ever disrupted class like that again, I was getting detention. I don't know what it is about some teachers, but the second they get put in charge of more than one child, they become absolutely blind to any kind of bullying. And if it gets pointed out to them, they think that particular incident exists in a vacuum and couldn't possibly be a sign of anything worse. I was 11 years old and suicidal because I felt so incredibly powerless, and the teacher only solidified that feeling. That teacher's just a gooey, fleshy little human. And if you wanted to make some things happen, that's the end of that thought, Kyle. You better stop it. You better stop it. I believe there is a special place in hell for people who validate and enable bullying, and that's what that was. Imagine a girl getting some pebbles thrown at her and having the dude admit to it, saying they're only pebbles, and having the teacher go, yeah, don't disrupt the class. She'd be choking on some pebbles. You know what I'm talking about? Just kidding. It's just a joke. But her behavior is abhorrent. Is that a word that applies here? Your brain wanted to use it, Kyle. A-B-H-O-R-E-N-T. Abhorrent. Inspiring disgust and loathing. Repugnant.
Abhorrent.
So repugnant behavior. Well, fuck her. You know what I mean? Pretty messed up. Number 6, I can absolutely attest to being around people who were love-starved and subsequently self-sabotaging or otherwise destructive. In a softer sense, if I have felt rejected, I have felt peace in sort of burning bridges to find myself. How poetic of you, my dude. How poetic of you. The bottom line is, a lot of people out here trying to be in a perfect relationship when they themselves are the problem. And I don't know, it's nothing you'll be able to communicate to certain people, that they need to be at peace and understand themselves and their desires and be comfortable within themselves and happy, if not fully, then at least partially happy and content before they pursue anything, dude. Ugh. But my bing bongs, baby. Somebody says, may the bridges you burn light the way forward. Somebody else says, can you get yourself out of the way? You're in the way still. Just make sure you're off the bridge and no longer needed prior to burning it. May the bridges you burn be unoccupied and devoid of structural necessity. Whatever. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day otherwise, you know. Big titty day, Yoda, baby Yoda day, you know. I gotta make another video with these Yoda puppets, but what? You know? What Yoda puppet videos am I gonna make? How do I top my old ones? Is that the wrong way to look at it? Topping it? If you're in this chat and you haven't seen all of my Yoda puppet videos, then, you know, I can't believe you. What have you done? What are you doing? Number 5. I had a coworker at a non-commission based retail job where a coworker would repeatedly sabotage my sales so that she could get a lot of credit and high GSP. She would overhear my pitch for cards and then lie to the customer so that they would apply. I would have to try and rectify what she said while she hovered over me. She did many other questionable things, and I reported her on multiple occasions, as did my coworkers. Now, one time I got lucky and an 18-year-old kid came in to buy the most expensive desktop that we had on display. It was around $2,500. She saw me do the sale, but I needed a manager to approve a tiny discount. But my radio was dead. The coworker was watching me the entire time, so I asked if she'd call for the manager. She stone cold ignores me. I go for the manager. She prints out the paperwork on the computer and tries to sell it to him. When I return, she literally yells at me in front of the customer to give her the sale because she worked too. I ignored her and didn't give her the sale. When I reported this, as did the customer because he was mortified, I was literally told by the boss to ignore when she does that. She's a middle child, so she does stuff like that? Why are you letting it slide? How much cock is she sucking? Manager? I was tired of the stupid lack of action, so I filed the HR complaint regarding her behavior. 5 of my managers were also reported, considering none of them wanted to address it. They all got reamed for it. Only 1 is still in management. The rest were eventually demoted and laid off. Well, I guess that's what you get when you're taking sexual favors in the workplace. How are you dealing with a Karen? You're excusing her behavior as a middle child? What kind of horse shit is that? That's the stupid type of shit you'd hear from a family member, not from somebody in a workplace. What is wrong with y'all? You just couldn't catch me not like illegally recording everybody so I could play back the stupid horse shit you say and let that be your legacy, my dude. Because you want to know the only thing that's going to make people change their behavior? Public fucking shame. Public fucking shame. And we all have absolutely no problem with people who are pieces of shit because they don't know no better. When you're ignorant, there ain't shit we can do about that. We need to teach you and move on with our lives, my dude, and hope that you learn better. But when people know better, but they're actively pretending that they don't know better, but their tune would change if there was a crowd, do you know what I mean? Fuck those people most of all. Because they know what they're trying to do, they know what they're trying to get away with, and they know who they're trying to fuck with that kind of behavior. They're trying to fuck on you, and you don't deserve that kind of treatment. And they know that you don't deserve it, because like I said, they would change their tune if there was a crowd. That public attention, that shame, would force them into a different position. So it's like, oh, your brain does work, you know what I mean? Fuck y'all, man. Fuck y'all. It's like another, Zoe Quinn situation? Come on. I guess when you're all in cahoots, it's all about who you know. When you all want to sucky for more than $5. Oh. But you can't expect integrity as well, man. One or the other. Number 4. When I was a kid, my dad used to beat on me pretty often. When he was sober, I usually did something to deserve it. Well, it happens. When he wasn't, it was just go time. Nice. One time I was 14 years old and he got drunk, and when I got home from a girlfriend's place, he cornered me and put a revolver to my head. Nice one, Dad. You got me. He told me how worthless I was and how he was doing me a favor by killing me. Just take it easy, Dad. Maybe you've had one too many. Is this thing even loaded, Dad? I didn't respond. I didn't move. I just waited for him to pull the trigger. You can fucking do it or not, Dad. You were fucking do it, man. Do it. I want you to do it, man. Oh my God. I want you to do it, Dad. He didn't. He left my room and left the revolver on my dresser as he walked out. My fucking turn, old man. Sorry, Kyle really needs to, tone it down with the Kyle embellishment. I took the revolver. And I went out. Nice. I walked around my hometown. Oh, you're big shit now. I sat by the river and thought about all the ways that I could get back at him for all the misery he caused. My mother, my sister, me. I also considered doing the old Kurt Cobain, but that's not relevant. Oh, it was a stale meme. It was a stale meme by the time. What do you mean it wasn't relevant, dude? I took the weapon apart and threw it in its pieces into the river. No one asked me about the gun since. It's probably still there, with your prints all over it. Pfft, amateur.
You want it in the future. Future.
YNK Rock, wow. I don't see many green names. I have to wonder if many of you green names are here and you're just lurking. You'd do that? You'd come and not say anything to me? What, are your hands busy? Where the sun don't shine, God is watching you. God is watching you. Sorry. I'm such a jackass. No, that's a man. That's a dude, not a number. Oh, he's a man, not a number. YNK Rock says, my boss is just like that, trying to convince my coworkers that shame is the best route to change her ways. Well, it's true, especially for certain women, as rude as it is to say. Some men don't give a fuck. Tell everybody I don't care. What the fuck? Ain't gonna stop me. God damn it. But, I don't know. A lot of girls can be tricked into, I say girls, I mean women, especially women in the workplace, give a shit about their public image, you know? A lot of their actions are typically driven by how they're perceived, you know what I mean? And that obviously it doesn't just go for just women, it applies to all of us, but sometimes it may be easier to coerce or emotionally manipulate to provoke a person when they are the lady time. This is a long entry, my dudes. What? Maybe it just seems longer because, oh my God. Well, broccoli deserves it. You all do. Let's go. Number 3 on the list. Hey, there's a play ad button. I wonder if I should click that now. Click it like 7 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. That ad button's not going to work for anybody. Oh man, I feel kind of weird. As we continue up this list of times people came close to their day of reckoning, we are at the final 3. And 3 is a doozy. Bear with me. I was dumped at the doorstep of a youth shelter after my mother was hospitalized and my dad was in prison. I wasn't a super bright teenager, but bad enough sense to spend my last $20 on pepper spray and padlocks for myself. Not bad. I had enough sense. Not bad. Defend yourself with that pepper spray and keep what's yours with them padlocks. Predictably, people's stuff went missing all the time. I could write an essay on the issues in public welfare system, ranging from the macro level, lack of funding, to the micro level, incompetent or burnt out staff. There was violence, substance abuse, and sexual assault in crisis accommodation. But what bothers me 10 years later is the sheer stupidity of some of the adults who are meant to guide at-risk teenagers. I would ask my social worker questions like, are there places which can help me with food this week? How do I write a resume? And that social worker would vaguely shrug and offer relaxation techniques and mindfulness strategies. This is so sad, because the worst part is, these people need this information more than anything. And just like school, where the things that they're teaching you aren't exactly applicable in a real world, scenario, maybe, unless you're considering a trade, you're really just staying in these classes to get these credits to get that piece of paper so you can jump through hoops that wouldn't be available to you otherwise. Consider all of school you trying to get a broomstick so you can actually play Quidditch, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to. You'd be on the ground looking up. But these people don't even have access to like a smartphone to access YouTube, to be able to look up, how to do some of these things, to access a search engine, to be able to imitate a resume. And the fact that help isn't available to them is honestly kind of heartbreaking. Especially if people are I hope they're not being paid. Or social workers paid? They must be? Is it a volunteer thing if this is the level of incompetence? There's incompetence in every field. 3 people got arrested at the shelter last week. No amount of relaxation techniques are going to calm me down. I'm guilty of doing stupid and irresponsible things as a teenager, but eventually finished school and had 3 university degrees. Damn. I actually work for the same system that I was in and am disappointed by, and there are so many practical resources available. They're underutilized because staff don't even know that they're out there. And if I had just a single adult to help me with the most simple tasks as a kid, it would have been so much easier. When you're a kid, you just don't know how university loan applications, taxes, budgeting, etc. works, or at least I didn't. And everyone assumes that you do, because they do. Like, I had no idea that in my country, the Department of Housing can pay your rental bond. I stayed in a homeless shelter for an extra 1 to 2 months to save up $900 to pay for the bond of a shitty apartment. Extra months of broken sleep, men trying to pick the lock at my door, residents hyped up on ice, Jesus. Last year, there was a 16-year-old girl on a train having a meltdown, making a scene. She was clearly drunk and people were avoiding her. She started screaming that she missed her period. And does anybody want to pay for her termination? She phrased it as a joke or a way to get money. But I guess she repeated it enough that I wondered if it was true. We got to talking and I referred her to a social service, downloaded a list of resources in her catchment area, and saved links and forms on her phone about how to arrange her own healthcare cards since she's over 15. She can visit a bulk billing GP on her own and get tested. In my country, the P-test from a pharmacy is about $15, but a pregnancy blood test ordered by your GP is free. We discussed different options that her GP might outline and other things that might be helpful. And I know as well as anyone else that it's not always that straightforward, especially with 30 patients in your caseload and juggling them with a million other priorities. But in the biopsychosocial framework of health, their biological, psychological, and social factors are proposed to impact physical and mental health. We severely underestimate the impact of social circumstances. We let these kids down all the time, and it's preventable. Ugh. What a downer of a list. I'm loving it. It's a good thing some people out there care, but you know, I always say one of the things that piss me off the most is that some people that haven't been through certain things are incapable of imagining what it's like to go through that, which in itself is kind of funny. I don't know if I phrased that right. It may have come out sounding stupid. I think what I'm trying to say is, some people refuse to acknowledge or try to understand the plights of certain people unless they themselves have been through it or something similar. Like if their family hasn't dealt with it, if they haven't been physically through what that thing is, then they don't care. It doesn't bother them. It doesn't bother to them. My God. You know. I'm glad that this, as rude as it is to say, I'm glad that I guess this is how they came up, because otherwise they may not have had as fiery a passion or, you know, even the knowledge of how things on the inside work there. Spooky says, isn't the word for that called empathy? Pretty much. But I don't know. It goes a little further, I guess. And I guess the best way to explain it would be to quickly... Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. I want to say what I'm describing specifically applies to even the awareness of things occurring, right? Like some people would never move in the direction of, I don't know, being charitable, giving something, yeah, you know, thinking twice about shit that 'Cause like they can be empathetic, they just won't be to certain things. They're selectively empathetic, if that makes sense. They've had a dog and, it's had problems and then died. So maybe they'll jump up and give that kind of, I want to say, support, or be charitable to organizations that help animals that are in need, free of payment or something like that. But, they'll talk mad shit when people are tripping over people who have died because they've lost a loved one or something like that. Because even though they should be able to imagine what that shit's like, they haven't experienced it themselves, so they just don't put themselves there. Boy, I don't even know what I mean, apparently. Number 2, I was raised in a cult. There were 11 kids with 4 moms, and the leader had really convinced our moms that he was the Archangel Michael. Nice. So this is like hardcore, boy. Y'all in like a role play house. I tried to run away over and over in my late teenage years, hiking across the desert in the dark to get to the highway where I would try to hitch a ride. Every single time, well-intentioned truckers called the police to report a little girl walking along the highway with her thumb out. I am short and I have been malnourished my entire childhood, so even after I turned 18, I was underdeveloped and couldn't convince anyone that I was an adult. Michael always called me in as a runaway and the cops would take me back. Last time I was 20, and I felt so hopeless when I saw the police lights, I thought very seriously about trying to attack the officer with my knife. I knew I was too small and weak to actually hurt the officer, but he would be obliged, you wanted to say obligated, Kyle, to arrest me and send me to jail. It was the only way out that I could think of. I hope you weren't being abused, because it doesn't say what you went through here. But you're just trying to get away, but there's obviously a reason that you're trying to get away. Like Broccoli Broom, you're saying like empathy is there, but the connection is not. I guess connection could apply technically, but what I'm trying to say is like, all right, the ability to understand and share feelings for another. I feel like they're capable of that. They are capable of empathy for certain people, but it doesn't mean they're going to give a shit. So whether it's varying levels of empathy, like they sort of understand it, but not enough to give a shit, not enough to launch a crusade. And it's crazy because, maybe this is true of all of us, We know that missing kids are a big issue and it sucks, right? But how much are we, I don't know, going out of our way to make sure that, I'll tell you something right now that's true of me because I'm a real nigga and I'm not like half of these assholes out on YouTube trying to convince you that they're perfect pieces of shit. I will tell you that I have actively turned off the Amber Alert on my phone. That shit's gone off so many times that it's freaked me out. And whereas I may rationalize to you right now that the reason that I have it turned off is because I'm a dude that's constantly recording things. I'm usually behind a microphone. I'm trying to produce things. And I rarely leave, my home often where I work, I'm not really on the road where I commute from my home to a job and then my job home where I'm going to be able to look around and see license plates or cars or bullshit like that. And I can rationalize, I'm not helping, the pursuit of these people who may have kidnapped a young person. That doesn't mean that I don't understand or empathize with somebody who has lost a child themselves who may, need genuine help, but I'm not doing as much as I could be. Now compare me to somebody who has lost a kid of their own, who's like, nigga, I'm going to jump up and give all of the money that I earn to this pursuit of people. I'm going to create an app that's going to make it easier for people I'm going to create integration within Google itself to be able to call out and kind of, home in on a radius or an area where the likelihood is that this person may have been seen last and shit like this. Calculate trajectories. Maybe I'm giving money to a TV show that is established to help get the word out when these things happen. You know, I'm paying to get their pictures up in grocery stores or on fucking milk cartons and shit like that. We certainly aren't going that far. And is it to say, oh, we don't care as much? I guess, you know? But the bottom line is, there's variations of that where people genuinely, like, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. They give zero shit about what's going on because it's never affected them. And I don't mean to ramble about it like an old man. I guess all I'm trying to say is, you know, the difference to me is the slide of the light switch or the flip of the light switch when people suddenly give a shit because somebody they know is dealing with it or they themselves have been through it. Whereas otherwise, even though it should have been something that them with a functional brain could have been able to comprehend as an issue that maybe they should give a shit about, even if they're not jumping through hoops and making, you know, all of this crap happen for it, you know, suddenly they care when it happened to somebody else. And you can see it in them. My dude. What am I even on about? My rambling Kyle time. Like this video for me, we somehow made it to the end of it. You know, with my derailing ass. Number 1. My wife was a senior staff for a local science fiction convention. That is so cool. I want to get in on something like that. Not only was she an unpaid volunteer, she had to take a vacation day off, work, and pay for the hotel room and parking. On the morning that the convention started, she was setting up the first of the 3 rooms that she was responsible for. 3 rooms. Manual labor, moving tables, setting up shelves, and loading them with stuff. No. I don't want to be a part of that. I just want to go attend the place. I'm sorry. And somebody came in, took her ID badge off of her desk, and brought it to the convention's lost and found. The convention lost and found lady told the wife that lost badges have a $5 fee to get them back. Wife looked at the badge, looked at her, and said, "Keep it. I'm going home. Have a nice convention." Wife was about 25 feet down the hall when the lost and found lady caught up to her and returned her badge. What a bitch. What a bitch. Why do people okay, guys, I love you. Oh boy. A man's drug-induced musical journeys and other ramblings. Look, I already have only one internet crazy guy at a time, please. Spilling out of my pretty bra. Ooh, I better not click that though. That's a lot of upvotes. Maybe I'll send it over there. Wowzers. Amazing exploit and kill confirmed. Who cares, man? I remember I used to play Call of Duty. What happened? All these games are killing me. Guys, I'm supposed to start Resident Evil 2 soon, but I haven't played that ever. And it's gonna be an embarrassing playthrough, you know. It's gonna be an embarrassing playthrough. I hope you enjoyed this list. Hope you have a reasonable and fantastic day. I'll be here when you need me, and I'll stream tomorrow, same time, 9:30. How are you guys feeling? At least one of you tell me how you feel. I feel like I just heard my phone vibrate. That can't be good. YNK Rock says okay, but that's because travel stresses me out. And Piggy Swink says, I feel delicious. Lil Harko says sad. Is that how you are? Como se oiga? Almost done closing at work. I believe in you.
Oh, what the fuck, man? Is that a fucking crow?
No. Why do they always upload this guy? Jesus.
You from the media, tell the Prime Minister to go and get from Nelligan.
Yo.
The team, go sports!
Alright, can you just explain what's going on here?
Thank you, I have no idea.
Why don't they just go find the Prime Minister and take him to task if he's sucking so hard that the country's on fire and he's not helping? What's that about? My friend in Orlando caught a Karen in action. Have we seen this? Oh my god. No. Planet Smoothie in downtown. Now that's smoking crack. Now that's what I call smoking crack. I can't. Not safe for work, man. Man near miss with a car accident at my local pizza way in Dover. You know what I'll do one day? On D Live, I will stream every does D Live even okay with not safe for work shit? No. I wonder if I'd have to upload a video of it to BitChute. That would be a fun little reaction video. Is BitChute okay with boobs? We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Guys, I love you. You guys have a fantastic night. Go catch me soon if I decide to jump back on with a game stream. And if you're interested, you can ride out the night with that. Love you. Stay out of trouble. Appreciate you, Broccoli Broom. Thank you, sponsors. And thank you, patrons. I love you. And you'll catch me tomorrow. Also, you may expect that Lucas part 3 tomorrow, because I'm still working on that tonight, and I'm at the very least halfway through that video. So, you know, see you soon, see you tomorrow. Look out for that. Bye.